and talk about chapter 12, additional options for organizing essays. So that means you may run into this in your next class, in your readings, and so on. So it's different ways to organize what you're writing about. So this is going to talk about descriptive essays, process essays, classification essays, and definition. So you're probably familiar with process essays because we did a process paragraph earlier on in this class. But I'm still going to kind of go over what the structure is and the point of all these different types of essays. So each of these serves a specific purpose in academic writing. So descriptive essays are painting a picture with words. And the purpose of it is to vividly depict a person, place, object, or experience. And there's two types of description. There's objective, which is factual, emotional, precise observations, versus subjective, where you bring in your thoughts, emotions, and perspective. So the key elements of a descriptive essay really lies in those sensory details. So what are you seeing, feeling, smelling, tasting, and touching? And the goal of the essay is to basically make the person who's reading the essay feel like they are experiencing whatever it is with you. So within this, you can see that you might have a few objective types of description within your essay. The subjective is going to be more effective in creating that overall impressive experience. So talking about objective versus subjective description. Objective is like facts, right? The columns were 10 feet tall and made of white marble. That's just what they were. That's the facts. Subjective does talk about the columns, but it brings in all of these like vivid details to where I can like actually see them in common. It's so much more effective. So taking that example, saying the columns were tall and powerful looking, and their glistening white marble surfaces reflected the harsh glare of the afternoon sun. So, like, I'm there, right? I can see those columns. I'm probably in Greece somewhere. The sun is shining on the white marble, and it's just so much more effective than just saying how tall they were on the white marble. Process essays, moving on, explains a procedure or how to do something. It's step by step. There is an explanation and there's instructions. So the process explanation is how something is or was done, and the instructions is like basically a guide to how somebody can do whatever it is, to bake a cake or fix a car, whatever. So the key element in a process essay or paragraph is going to be those clear steps and those transition words, like first, then, next, finally. It's really important to consider your audience's knowledge before you begin writing. If you were writing about how to fix a flat tire and you're writing for a teenager, you want to make sure that you are extremely clear and concise and understand that teenagers might not know where the jackets are located in the car. You might need to include that detail. Classification essays are just ways of organizing ideas. So the key element is dividing up items into parts or categories, and the categories are based on their distinctive principles. So it can also be items, things being classified, but it's important to ensure that all the items have something in common, and the goal is to present a logical, open return of information. So these we're going to see more in companies, technical writing, its classification as well. Definition essays are exactly what it says. They explain the concepts. So it's not just the definition, but the class to which the term belongs and the characteristics that differentiate it from others in its class. So there's some different types of definition that there's formal, informal, and standard. But regardless, the goal is to provide a clear understanding of complex or abstract ideas. This again is going to be seen most often in the technical writing and writing in companies. And going back to classification and definition and process, all of those you're going to see in very usually formal academic terms. The definition essay used in an informal type is not as common, but you can definitely come across it, especially like in opinion editorials in newsletter and websites. That could be used there. Regardless of whatever essay you're reading about or that you choose to write about, think about the test strategy. The test the thesis, the topic thing, that it may identifies the main idea, that there are examples that support the main idea. The structure is, it makes sense, right? We're reading through, it makes sense. And then finally, those transitions that as you're reading it, the ideas flow from one side to another. So for what essays that I write, think about your whole purpose. Is my purpose to describe what happened to me in March 3rd, 1994? Is my purpose to teach students how to cite sources quickly? Is my purpose to go through and argue for banning supplements? Once you define your purpose, then your essay type is going to be mature too. Make sure that you are using clear, appropriate language. So when you're writing these essays, keep in mind you're writing academically. You're not using slang or words that somebody as old as I might not understand, that we're using academic language and we're organizing our ideas logically and quickly. Ensure that you include relevant details and examples. Use those transitions to connect those ideas. And as I always say, make sure that you read your essay out loud, and even better, have somebody else read it that way to you so that you can catch any of those continuity and clarity elements. Okay, so we're not going to do the review on practice, but I will tell you, maybe back to the beginning, chapter 12 does have a ton of great examples of these different types of essays. It is a great idea to familiarize yourself with all of these because you don't know what type of essay is going to pop up in the midterm or the final exam. So you want to make sure that you have a working familiarity with all types of these. And that is chapter 12. Please let me know if you have any questions.